See it 251. Ah. Turn it up a bit. I'm just warming up my fingers on a 251 Kia C. Well, hey everyone, welcome to my live that I don't do a lot here on YouTube, but I'm trying to be consistent. I do a lot of posting, as you guys can see. Uh, also, I want to make you all know, like my guitar. Oh yeah, man, thanks, man. Lonely Bob. Okay, yeah, thanks. This is a Federa bass, custom made. It's really nice, comfortable. But yeah, I just want to let y'all know about my products. A lot of my content is around bass lessons, and I have products on my online store. The link is actually available on in my bio. Like you know how YouTube is, you could go to the section like my About Me section, and then there's links. So it's the Stand Store link, and so several of you guys have purchased the guides and stuff from my online store because I could see who purchases them, and I appreciate that for the ones who have purchased. But if you're looking to get better, improve on bass, um, definitely check out the guides that I got available. It goes over all the core fundamentals that you need to know, and I also just released a video, a lesson video for you all that are looking for a self-paced practice or self-paced lesson. Um, it's available on my online store, and it goes through all the core fundamentals. Uh, Also, I do offer one-on-one lessons. So if you guys are interested in that, you could definitely send me an email to jcherrymusic@gmail.com. And it's um, really good for people who are looking to have a more interactive approach in terms of asking questions, in terms of me seeing you play, and making suggestions on how you should play and improve. So if you're looking for that one-on-one lesson, I give that. Also give consultations. People who are looking, who don't know what gear to get. Like you might be like, man, there's so many bases out there. I don't know what to get. There's so many amps. There's so many this. There's so many that. So if you're looking for guidance, I give consultations on that. Like you can book a one-on-one call, and I could definitely help you out. I'm a person myself that I have so many bases. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen my videos. I have a plethora of bases in my collection, and I have tons of experience with different boutique instruments, and I could save you a lot of money because if you're looking for a custom bass, it might be overwhelming to you to know what options that you should choose. And yeah, you could talk to the builder, but sometimes it's better to talk to somebody who's touched a lot of the instruments. And if you're looking to not spend a lot of money and waste a lot of money on something that you're not quite looking for, and you want to fine tune and get the right stuff for you, what you're going after, then you could book a consultation call. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know everything that's available for my services, for my products, those kind of things. Because again, a lot of my content is lessons and providing guides and now lesson videos that are available on my online store. And the link is again, if you go to the About Me, I think it is, or that section where you can see my little biography. There's links there, and it's the Stand Store link. And the store is available 24/7. And whatever you purchase, it'll get delivered directly to your inbox. I don't deliver it, so it's all automated. So it's really cool that that could be a thing in these times. So if you like my content, you could support me that way. It's actually supporting you because this is information that if you're serious about your craft and you're trying to get better, improve, and you just need guidance on what to practice and how to practice, these products are key. But a lot of things from the guide is like stuff that helps you master your fingerboard. Right? I like to be able to play across the entire neck. Those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, thanks for the sub. Yeah, if y'all have any questions, just ask. I'll try my best to answer those. But yeah, in terms of being able to facilitate through the neck, but in a musical way, like you gotta develop your musical vocabulary to be able to do it, in a sense that where it's musical and not just random like this. I don't like to play random stuff. I feel like there's too much things to practice musically that I'm wasting my time practicing random stuff. Like as far as just exercising the fingers. I could exercise my fingers with the scale and learn the notes that way. So if you're looking to, improve, get better, learn the notes, finally learn the notes on your board, my Smart Bases 1.1 guide has the notes, so that way you can learn your fretboard. So that way you don't have to just be looking at tabs. When you learn the notes, it broadens your horizons, and then it's just the first step to be able to read music if you choose to go that direction, or just being able to identify what you're playing. Like it feels great when you could listen to a song and then like learn it, but also then analyze it to be like, oh, this is where that's coming from. That's what that's coming from. That chord is that chord. That's why they play that note over that chord. Like being able to pinpoint those things are very, very, very vital to your continued education on bass. So get those core fundamentals down through learning the stuff from my guide or taking 101 lessons with me. jcherrymusic@gmail.com is my email. You can reach out to me there if you have inquiries about lessons. Are there any questions that you guys have about my products, services, or just bass in general? And I'll try to be more consistent with getting on live and not just doing only content, video content recorded. Any questions? Where you guys are from? I know a lot of my subscribers are from all over the world. Actually, I could see the demographic results on the app, but it'd be great to know where you guys are from and where you're from, and do you play bass? Also, I like to add what is your struggles on bass. I like to know if you're a bass player, what challenged you the most? Like what is something that um oh, Texas. Oh, that's what's up, man. I'm right here in Austin, Texas, actually. So excuse me. And see. Oh, that's what's up. Sorry, the text is like super small on my phone. Yeah, North Carolina. That's what's up. The southern states. Oh, Dallas. Oh, that's what's up, man. Yeah, I'm right here in Austin. Originally from Houston, but live in Austin now. How long y'all been playing bass? You know, how long y'all been? How many years? What kind of music y'all play? Y'all play any bands? That kind of stuff. Okay, somebody said they're from Australia but live in Tokyo. Wow, that's pretty cool, man. By the way, I have a Smith single cut, five string. Oh, that's dope. Yeah, that's dope. There's not many of those basses in the world. I'll say that. um, I still got mines, but I don't play it a lot. Actually, it's kind of weird. It's just in my closet. Maybe I should bring it out one of these days. But yeah, that bass is phenomenal. Like that single cut is very unique. That bass is very very unique. What kind of music do you play, man? Like what style of music you play on that Smith? Any questions for me? Questions about any of the content I make? Uh, Somebody says they play funk jazz. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, those are some of my favorite genres to play, especially on bass. Funk is where it's at. You know, jazz too. I mean, jazz is king. I study a lot of jazz. Like bebop stuff. But of course, there's different styles of jazz, like smooth jazz, fusion jazz. It's a lot. Oh, what's up, Rodney? It's good to see you chime in. Good to see you chime in, bro. Rodney is one of my bass friends from Trinidad, so be sure to check out his work. He's on here on YouTube. Somebody says been playing since 20. Was it? Sorry, the text is so small. 2020. My pandemic pick up a player. That's actually really good. I mean, um, to be able to pick up an instrument during like that downtime or that weird time where everybody had to stay in, and then you still playing it. That's really good. I mean, that's been what 5 years. It's kind of hard to believe that it's been 5 years. But yeah, I mean, have you had an instructor or like how you been learning it? I know everything is different now. Like when I was learning bass, like when I first started learning bass, um, my dad is a bass player, so he was he started me off on bass, right? And the first thing he made me do was learn the notes of the neck. Like that was like the first lesson. Like he didn't make me do anything until I started to like understand that neck. What strings you use? Yeah, bro. So I started using Elixir. The coated strings. They sound really good on this Federa, and they last a long time. This one I've been having it for over a month. over like probably 2 months right now, and it still sound still sound crisp. And the other thing I could say is like the durability is there because I find like when you slap strings, like they die quicker, but not these. I've been slapping these, thumping, like really attacking, digging in on these strings, and these strings has they still got the tension, like they still sound right. I think you said gauge. I think. Ah, man, I don't want to lie to you. Dang. I want to say the low B is 128. I want to say the lowest is 128, and then the highest is the G string is 45, I think. But I could double check that and message you later. But yeah, man, I try to like keep. I don't use heavy gauge strings. Mainly because like the way like Federa cut this nut, like if I use heavy gauge, they won't be sitting in the groove. It'll be like sitting on top of the nut, which is not good. It should be sitting. So I try to like keep it like around 128 is like my cutoff. And I noticed that. I mean, this is my low B. Like it's really clean. And I noticed that keeping it, at a good gauge, like 128 to 45, has been really good for my playing. And then a little secret is, well, I really got this from what's his name, Reggie Young, gospel bass player. Um, he uses light gauge string on his 6 string bass, and I started using light gauge, and I noticed like man, like the resonance is just different from heavy gauge in the sense of like you you get more transparency, and then when you dig in, you kind of get the slap effect, but you're not slapping. If that even makes sense. Yeah, the low B, yeah, it's solid. And mind you, I adjust my own basis because I mean I know exactly what I want. Somebody said I need a new tech for a 5 string Lachlan, like meaning like you need somebody to set it up or just address some of the issues on it. Where should I start? I would say try to find like a good bass guitar tech in your area. Like maybe start on Google and read the reviews, and if that's what you're even asking for. But I wouldn't recommend going to Guitar Center for that. Yeah, but a reputable guitar tech in your area, somebody who's been doing it for a while, is a good place to start. Really good place to start. But I adjust my own basis. Like I learned to do it myself because I live in Texas and the weather is weird. One day it could be freaking sunny. The next day it could just be storming. The next day it could be cold and it's hot. Right, like right now it's still hot. Like I talk about like 80, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's October. I don't know what in the hell is going on. But anyways, my bass necks tend to just go crazy. Like especially like obviously I'm in my home right now. But if I was to go outside with this bass, like to the gig, after the gig, when I come back home, the neck it's already moved. So, I mean, I don't have all the money in the world to be going to a tech all the time. So I had to learn how to adjust my neck. Most of the times, I had to add relief to my neck because naturally, your neck is wanting to pull this way, right, like this direction, because the strings, right, the strings is pulling your neck this way naturally. But some basses have an angle neck. I don't know if you can see it on Sfidera. It has an angle to kind of counter that a little bit, but it's still not enough. Your string wants to pull this way, so you have to pull the truss rod this way to counter that, to balance it out. So like it's what we call adding bow to the neck. When it's too straight, you tend to get buzz, right? Like, that's when it's pulling this way. When it's too straight, you get fret buzz. So you want to add some relief to it. When you add the relief, you could then adjust the saddles on the bridge for the string height. So like maybe it probably raise the action a little bit because you add relief. So then you could lower it string by string to see. I usually just lower it enough where I don't get fret buzz. But lately, I mean, I have all kinds of bases. Like I had a Fender bass where it was like a freaking bow and arrow. Like the string was so high off the board. I was like, it's no way I could play this bass. So I had to, and this was right before a gig too. I had to. It's a bolt-on neck, so I had to take off the neck because on the old Fender basses, you have to take the neck off to get to the rod. So I took it off and I tightened up the rod, and that solved the problem. Like it was too much bow in the neck, so I had to straighten the neck. So I had to do it by tightening the rod. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I just happen to live in a place where it's brutal on my instruments, but at least I'm able to fix those. But yeah, start with a local bass tech or guitar tech in your area. But yeah, I mean, my my action is pretty low, and but it has enough clearance to allow each string to ring out. And then also when I'm slapping too, like there's enough sustain, right? So like it's not so low where if I slap it's like dead. It's low enough where when I slap that you can hear. It's almost like piano like. But I think what's going on too is the brass nut. Oh, great question, Ryan. Thanks for keeping this thing alive. Yeah, the EQ. Let me see. Actually, I don't want to lie to you. Let me see what I have it set to right now. So it looks like I have everything set to flat, bro. And also, and the pickups are in the middle. For both pickups are on. I normally keep it that way, but also this bass has a obviously active passive switch, single coil, dual coil. Right now it's in single coil, so it's like more like a jazz. So if I switch it over to this is dual coil. I don't know if you notice the difference. Or hold on, let me see, single coil. I think this is single coil. And then this is dual coil. Hopefully I don't have that twist like reversed. But yeah, there's a way, you could split the coil, right? Like you could have both. I don't know if you can see the poles for both coils. You could have either one coil like a J bass for each pickup, or you could have two coils like a humbucker to get that more power, that extra power punch. And also there's a switch for the mid-range band. So you could do, I think it's either, I want to say it's low mids, high mids. I'd have to check for their website. But yeah, everything is set flat for right now. Yeah. But when I could boost let me turn down the master volume. I could boost the bass. I could take back some of the mid range, kind of get like that Marcus Miller wannabe kind of tone. You know, so you could this bass to me is one of the most versatile bass in my collection because of what I could do with the EQ. But I don't know if you guys know that like on Federas, there's a tone roll off. Like so you could adjust how much tone from the EQ you want presence in the mix. So it's a stack knob, you have the master volume, and then you have like this tone blend. So like that was something that was new for me. Like when I first got it, like it was like, whoa, what is that? And but you could, if you want to scale back some of that active, it kind of gets some of that. I don't know if you call it passive flavor, but so right now I took out all the tone from the EQ, so I could dial it in like halfway. You can hear the change now. If I dial it all the way in, it really cuts through the mix. So on this Federa, there's a lot of options. I mean, I could really design this thing or configure this thing however I want. The only thing I could say is like it's not a subby bass. So like it's more of a mid range, lower mid range. Like it's heavier on that more than like the subby lows. You know, some basses that they really drive the speakers. This bass don't drive the speaker in that sense. It's more like presence. It has like you could hear every note, right? So like how I'm playing right now, you could hear every note in a. And if I'm playing with a band, it's the same way. You could hear everything. Like the bass could really be heard. But I ain't gonna lie. I think the Elixir strings really brought out the character of this bass because I had DR strings on this bass before, but as soon as I changed it to Elixir, I noticed that it has a really a very accurate sound now. Like it was accurate before, but now it's even more. Like the frequencies are more. It's like tighter. If that makes sense. It has more of that piano-like quality, like that upright piano, like grand piano. Like when you hit that note, it's like boom. Here's that note. Like that note is, it's in the mix. It's not like lost. So I gotta give some credit to the Elixir strings, and I would encourage you guys to experiment with strings. My top three strings would definitely be DR Per Blue. I think it's called Per Blues, which is like a nickel and steel combination. And then I like to use labellas. Those are crazy. I have them on my six string, labella strings. I forgot the model, but those are stainless steel strings. And then I have these Elixir, which are stainless steel. So also you have to pay attention to the materials because nickel produces a different style. I feel like nickel is a little bit more, I would say warmer, and then stainless steel is a bit brighter. But you got to be careful with stainless steel because it can eat your frets away. So I would suggest that you know um, you just pay attention to how much you're digging into your bass when you're playing. Like just be mindful that these stainless steels could kind of eat your frets, but they sound amazing. They sound really amazing. And also like um, the gauge. The gauge really doesn't matter. So like um, you gotta experiment. You gotta experiment. How to play licks. Break down the concepts of how to play licks. Yeah, so I would say that I call them embellishments, which is the same thing as licks. But I really call it embellishment because that's what you're doing. You're embellishing what's there. Like so you have a groove going, you know, and then you try to add something to embellish to kind of just bring a little bit more life to what's going on, to kind of add contrast. Sometimes it's to add contrast too. Like maybe it's the same thing over and over, so you want to kind of put in a lick to kind of break the the repetitiveness. So I would say that whatever you do, it needs to complement. So I'm talking about a high level, right? I'm not talking about all the details, but you need to whatever you do, it needs to complement the groove, right? It needs to complement the groove. It also needs to complement the entire ensemble, like the music. So it shouldn't be getting in the way of the vocalist if there's vocals. It shouldn't be getting in the way of other stuff. Like you need to find the holes in the pocket and then add. That's where you could add them, and also keeping the groove at the core. So what I mean by that is like, you know, if the groove is solid, like you're hitting those downbeats, the syncopation is right. If it's syncopated, um, keeping that groove really solid and really at the front, and then kind of just keep embellishing around the groove. If that makes sense. I noticed that the stronger that I am as a groove player, the easier it is to embellish because a lot of things that you're going to do is going to rely on rhythm. The notes are one thing, right? Like playing the right notes or outlining the chord is one thing, but the rhythm is where it's at. Like if it doesn't have no rhythm, you're toast. So like it has to have good rhythm first, then the notes. Sometimes you could play the wrong notes, but if it's in rhythm, if it's in time, it's like you don't really even. I mean, yeah, you'll notice it, but it's not such a big deal. Whereas if it's the other way around, where you're playing a fill, but you not come back to that downbeat, you know, it's it doesn't fulfill the message. So that's the principles. But I would say to get into playing fills, obviously you need to listen to or licks. You need to listen to other bass players, but you need to understand what they're playing, right? So that's why I wrote my Smart Basses Guide 1.1, which goes over the major scale system and the minor scale system. It's available on my online store. The link is actually in this bio, or whatever, on my YouTube channel. Stand store link. So it covers all the stuff about the scales. So like most people think the scales in here, right? So this one scale has so many things. It has pentatonics, it has triads, it has so many things, right? And your chords come from the scale when you harmonize it. So it's important to understand that. So when it comes to like knowing uh, what notes to play on the given chord, you should refer back to the modes, to the pentatonics and those kind of stuff. And usually the pentatonics is a great spot to start. A lot of fills, a lot of licks have a lot of pentatonic scales in nature. The nature of pentatonics. You just had to go on the record and listen. But I would say first learn the fundamentals, and then you could go. And then when you listen and you learn it, you're not just stuck to the shape. You know what I mean? You realize that, oh, okay, that's a pentatonic, and and then you could start to manipulate it your own way. Like that's coming from that Stevie Wonder song, right? That's just a pentatonic. Oh, somebody said, what apps do you use to practice with loops? I think there's an app called Transcribe that I use. It's just called Transcribe. I think it's an older app, but it works. You can loop and you can slow down and it's staying in pitch. I don't slow down much. I like to keep the tempo, right? Learn it. But if it's something like crazy fast, like if I'm trying to learn, excuse me, like a saxophone solo on bass, I'd probably go to slow that down and loop the section or loop the phrase that I'm trying to learn. But yeah, Transcribe. I think some people use. It's another app started for M. I can't remember, but there's a lot of good apps out there. I just don't use a lot. I'm kind of old fashioned. I just kind of I go on YouTube and and learn the song from there. Like I try to challenge myself not to loop things, but don't get me wrong. If you're first starting off, that might be helpful, right? Yeah, like use the technology, but don't cheat yourself. Like just make sure don't cheat yourself out of your learning experience and your air training. But yeah, back to that. Like I learned that this came from the Stevie Wonder lick came from a B major pentatonic scale, and I knew that immediately because I had already done the homework of practicing all these pentatonics within the key. Um, but here's the funny thing: it starts with the it starts with the I think it's the third. So they start the pentatonic on the third, right? So it's even more confusing if you don't know what a pentatonic is. So a person who don't know the theory would just learn this, right? They might just learn by ear the shape, the phrase and associated to a shape, right? And then they get stuck because all they know is the shape. Now, when you know the actual fundamentals where the stuff is coming from, and then you know the notes, then you're not bounded to a shape. You could manipulate it however you want. So that's the difference between somebody who's just could learn by ear versus somebody who knows exactly where this stuff is coming from. So it's beneficial. But like I said, my guide goes through all of that, right? You could, I could transfer all this stuff to any key. I could, like the guide is rated in key of C, but I could transfer this stuff to the key of G, key of A flat, key of E flat. I get comfortable with every key. So it doesn't. There's no like, intimidation. Okay, somebody said, what would recommend I do to improve my slap bass technique? Yeah, man. So in general, I would say make sure you take like in general when it comes to practicing technique, make sure you take things very slowly. Like I know this might be cliche, but it's the truth. Like when you're learning a new technique, take it slow and also reps. It's just like exercising, like reps. Like just keep doing it over and over and over till it's really clean until like you're comfortable with it. So whatever it is, it could be like a song. So like, take it slower than what the record's doing, right? Until you get it, till everything is articulated. I'm talking about every slap, every thump, everything is articulated, everything is clean and transparent. Then you start to creep it up, right? Like the speed. But pay attention to, um, especially if you're learning about air, pay attention to what the bass player is doing, or what the technique is about, right? Are they doing thumb pluck? Are they doing thumb pluck? Like, pay attention to all those details. I would recommend that you do that. Um, but yeah, it's not. Now, as far as the different techniques, you got to take lessons. Like I would say, if there's a technique that you don't know, somebody had to teach you that. I give lessons. You could reach out to me at jcherrymusic@gmail.com if you would like to do one-on-one lessons. But if there's a technique, like all this double plucking, all this kind of like, because it's a different animal. Like when it comes to slapping, it's a lot of different things involved. So if you don't know that specific technique, if it's like this is a left hand technique, like there's different tricks to it. So yeah, oh, thanks oh, Trinidad is in the house tonight. That's what's up, man. Thanks for being a fan. But yeah, man, just take, like I said, take things slow. Um, Focus on articulating everything, and learn simple grooves. Like there's so many uh, different cool bass lines, on YouTube. I can't even think of some right now, but there's bass lines you can learn that are simple, and then you just kind of keep advancing from there. But just focus on learning and really honing in on what they're doing. Like sometimes you need to spend a couple of weeks on a song. Sometimes you don't need to move away from a song. In general, you take your time and really master it. Favorite song to play? I like to play. Ah, I like to play "Too Tight" by Confunction. I just played it right now. One of my favorite songs to play because I like the key that it's in. I think it's in. That's a B flat then, but it starts on E flat. I like the key that's in because like just like the tonality, the range, like both some a lot of slap songs are written in E because of the open E stuff. But I like that they were creative to write it in a key that is kind of unusual for a slap song. And it sounds so saucy to me. So yeah, Confunction. Like like do I like that Stevie Wonder stuff? That's one of my favorites. It's challenging, it's groovy, it's intricate. It has a mix of a lot of things, a lot of variations within that one song. I also like on the jazz fusion side of things. I like Spain by Chick Corea. That is a really. I feel like the composition alone is really nice. The chord choices, the key, the rhythm, like the style, like the fusion of like jazz and samba, and like it's such a cool song. I like actually. I also like which I need to learn actually. Actual Proof by Herbie Hancock. It's a really cool song. So I like a lot of songs from the jazz fusion era. I like a lot of songs from the funk era. I think it only makes sense, right? It's the nature of the bass. A lot of the heavy bass driven songs were written in those times. So anything that has a lot of bass, like the bass is like upfront, dominant. It's my cup of tea. What kind of stuff you like? Yeah, but again, you could go on my online store, buy these guides, man. Like, I wrote one also for the melodic minor. So you can play the scale. Most people could just play the scale, but you also got to be able to play find the arpeggios, right? Which is ah. See, I'm kind of rusty on that. I gotta practice it myself. It just opens up a whole nother plethora of vocabulary that I feel like if you're looking to like really uh hone in into uh sounds that are outside of just the major and the minor sound and stuff, learn the melodic minor. Like I'm telling you, like you could even use that in your soloing, so that way you don't always just sound inside. Like the melodic minor have some uh qualities that you could use over dominant seven chords that make it sound really, really angular. You should take a dive in that. Somebody say anything that groove. That's what's up. Some of your favorite bass players to learn from. Uh, Myself. Not to sound like a what is the word, cocky. Honestly, I pay attention to myself a lot. I know it might sound strange, but it's actually very important to really listen to yourself and try to create on your own. Like I think I'm in the phase of my playing where I'm creating on my own, right? I did enough studying. So like when I did study, my some of my favorite bass players were Bernard Edwards, of course, from Cheek, John Patitucci, of course. Um, Let me see who else, man, from the funk. Larry Graham, Louis Johnson, Anthony Jack. Oh my God, Anthony Jackson. Like that man could compose a part. Like he's a whole study in himself. From the gospel world, I would say Reggie Young. Um, I haven't really studied him, but Joel Smith. And I don't have too much guys from God, but guys that I like to listen to. Not really study. I mean, it's kind of studying, but not. I don't transcribe them. Daryl Freeman. It's a guy that I like to listen to. Um, but Daryl Freeman, he takes a lot from Joel Smith. I remember one time he said that, Joel Smith is like one of the godfathers, like Andrew Gousset. But Smith, he's passed away for years now. He's like underrated. He's an underrated gospel bass player, in my opinion. Like Goucher is probably more popular because I guess Goucher was more commercial. Like he played with Shaka Khan and a lot of the big gigs out there. But Joel Smith, Daryl Freeman said he learned a lot from Joel Smith. So that's might be a guy you might want to check out. Um, but yeah, I think like universally, I would say Anthony Jackson number one. John Patitucci, he's very versatile. Like John Patitucci is, I think John Patitucci is the most authentic bass player. There's a lot of guys that they have chops, they got technique, but in terms of understanding style, I'm talking about various styles. Nobody's messing with John Patitucci. The man, he has definitely studied like a lot of styles, and he don't play at it. He play it. Like a lot of people play at jazz, they play at like Brazilian music, or they play at like he knows like he's authentic. So there's a lot. I don't want to name some dudes here, but there's some dudes that are, I guess, celebrity bass players that I came to realize that they just have more technique than understanding of the music. Like they put the technique and the flash in the front, and then just leave the music just lingering. I don't like that kind of playing. That's just me personally. Anyway, somebody said, "How long have you been playing?" I've been playing since I was 12, and I'm 33. So do the math. I mean, okay, let me just say that I've been playing most of my life. Yeah, and it's been a journey. And I've never, thank goodness, I've never had a hiatus. I've always been consistently playing. Like the most hiatus I've ever probably had was probably a week or two and that's just because I was on vacation. But I've always been picking up my bass. And one thing I can tell you, it's been a process. Um, Everybody's journey is different. And I pay attention to myself a lot. Like lately, I've been paying attention a lot to how I play, so that way I could fix any issues. And I would recommend that you record yourself a lot. I record myself a lot. That's how helped me improve my playing because the recording doesn't lie. Agreed, man. John is great. Yeah, John is great, man. Um, I've watched a lot of interviews on him, and he's just very honest. He's not a BS. He's not a BSer. He's very honest about how he study and honest about how you should study. Um, and I even spoke to him once through social media and John Patitucci, and I was asking him, like, hey, like, what things would you recommend to practice? Like as a general question, nothing like specific. And like I was already doing it. The stuff he was mentioning, he was like, yeah, you should practice your arpeggios and your triads, and like a lot of stuff that he recommended was to master what was things to get you to master your fretboard, because that's what it is. You got to know where the notes are at, right? And I'm not talking about like randomly. I'm not talking about shapes. I'm talking about like just knowing where stuff is at and having that musical vocabulary. And I also heard great jazz upright bass player. He's the one that really changed my playing. Ron Carter, jazz upright bass player. He mentioned that he don't practice jazz. Like he don't practice. He don't practice how to walk bass lines. What he practices is this stuff. Like really being able to play scales all throughout the deck. And he said if he messes up once, he repeats until it's perfect. So I heard that piece of advice probably like, I don't know, 4 years ago. And that changed my life. Like that's when I started really like taking the fundamentals serious. And it opened up my playing to a level where I feel very confident in what I'm doing. Um, it was a confidence builder. But yeah, so Ron Carter, like definitely, check him out. Like he drops a lot of wisdom. Patitucci drops a lot of wisdom. Victor Wooden, I don't know. I just feel like some of the stuff he said I just disagree with. But that's just me personally. And I know he has a revival. What's his name? Jeff Berlin. Him and Jeff Berlin always get into Victor Wood and Jeff Berlin. Jeff Berlin has a very. I think I'm more on Jeff Berlin's side of things, where here's the theory and this is what works. Like, in practice that. Like, cut all the bullshit out and practice that. Because Victor likes to say, "Oh, he doesn't practice." Like, that's not good advice for somebody who's trying to alert base. You have to practice. Like, anybody that's saying that, I mean, he probably mean it in a different way, but just to hear that like come out your mouth, it's like, no, you have to practice. This stuff is not gonna. It's not gonna. You can't buy it. Like bass playing is earned. Like if somebody could have buy their way to playing an instrument, I think a lot of people would. But it's something that is earned. Like, you literally had to sit there for hours and hours, and hopefully you're practicing the right stuff, and hopefully you're practicing the right way. And that's something I like to talk about too. Is like, it's not only what you practice, it's how you practice. You could practice a bunch of bull crap for 2 hours, or you could practice the right stuff in the right way for 30 minutes, and you'd be more effective for the 30 minutes than the 2 hours. Let that sink in. What's a good routine? Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, you should practice things that allow you to access your fretboard, right? Like, I'm not talking about like rhythm and timing and feel. Like, that's different elements. But when it comes to like mastering this, like getting this out of the way, where it's like I could be anywhere on this board, and like I could, like, it don't matter what chord I'm changing to. I don't have to like jump. I could just transition to that chord without like shifting. Like I'm doing like you're smooth. Your transitions are smooth, and stuff like that. So like I would say, the good routine is just practicing the core fundamentals all day long. And I practice that more than songs. Like, I learn songs, don't get me wrong, to learn about style, to learn about feel, to learn about all the stuff that you learn when you learn a song. But I find that songs are too specific. Like, what if you have a song that doesn't like that, like, like, what if you have a song like that? Like it's a great song, right? I love it. But it doesn't allow you to access your board like exercise would allow you to do, practicing a scale or practicing an arpeggio. And I would say, when you practice in scales, it's not just about the scale, but it's about the resulting chord. And that's something that don't get talked about enough. When it comes to a scale, is more about how to harmonize the scale, right? Because, just playing it like this doesn't really get you far. Now, understanding the chords that come out from that scale is what will get you far. And every single chord comes from a scale. I don't care what nobody say. No chord is just a standalone chord. That chord comes from some scale. Whether it's a major scale, a minor scale, a melodic minor scale, a harmonic minor scale, a whole tone scale, a diminished scale, it comes from some scale. So to sit there and think that a chord is just like made up and it comes from thin air is the wrong way. The concept is that it comes from that harmony is formed from some mode in some scale. And you need to learn those scales and those modes that they come from. That way you have that basic understanding on what's available to play on that chord, right? So if I know that D minor is found in the key of C on the second chord, then that's the scale that's available, right? That, or the mode, by definition. Of course, I could break the rule and play other things, But from a fundamental standpoint, that's the sound of that's the outline of that chord, right? Those are the notes that fit in the chord, right? So it's good to understand that. Um, it almost makes zero sense to not understand that. You know what I mean? You have to understand these things, and it becomes part of your vocabulary, right? And then when it becomes that sound becomes a part of your vocabulary, then you're able to build phrases. You're able to build melodies. You know what I mean? The melodies are coming from the modes. It's coming from the scale, coming from the modes. Everything comes from somewhere. You know, um, I know jazz breaks a lot of rules. Like in American jazz, you'll hear them play outside the key, outside. And but that has a concept behind it. It's not random. What I mean? Like even that has a concept behind it. You know what I mean? It's coming from something. Any other questions? Also, make sure this is a tip I'll give you guys, just because I'll be nice. Make sure that you learn your inversion. I just finished teaching a student right before this live about inversions. Most times when you play like let's say a triad, that's very simple, right? So C, G, C major triad. Most times people think it's just root position is the only way to play that. Now there's different inversions. You see how I stretched that all the way out? I went from the third fret down here all the way up to the 24th fret. I'll do it one more time. That's just inversions of a triad. So if you just think it's just root position like this all day, no, there's inversions. So you could look up inversions, or you could, if you want to study this with me, take a one-on-one. But like, yeah, I just took a triad and elongated it. All the way up to 24th fret. That's a good practice. You know what I mean? So I also got a video on 11 chord arpeggios that I got from Jocko, actually. Jocko is another one. Jocko Pastorius. Yes, like, don't get me wrong. He practiced, he learned songs, blah, blah, blah. But he practiced a lot of like theory stuff, like a lot of just like figuring out scales and like how to get the most out of the scales without having to shift. Also, like, playing stuff like these are 11 chord arpeggios, playing stuff like this that really pushes pushes your boundaries. Like, trust me, I wasn't this quick with it at first. It took years. It's very uncomfortable. But when you're uncomfortable is when you'll grow. That's the only way you'll grow, is when you're uncomfortable. But yeah, Jocko, he figured out ways, to unlock the fretboard with playing. I heard he played this. These are arpeggios that are alternated. Play stuff like that, and guess what? You could use this stuff for your music. It's vocabulary. You could use it in your solos or wherever you choose to use it. So sometimes it's not just playing the songs; it's also figuring out like the vocabulary from a core fundamental standpoint. Like I said, my guide has all this information. I put So just imagine this: the major scale that you know, I'm sure you guys know this, has at least for now, at least 8 things that you need to know about it. There's 8 things that come from this scale. That's in my guide, the Smart Basis Report One guide. But I wrote a list and I saw that there were over 25 things from this scale. I'll let your imagination run wild, but there's over 25 things that you get from this scale. It's kind of mind boggling. And once you master all that stuff, there's nothing else that will keep you back when it comes to harmony. Like there's nothing else that I could phantom that would be a problem when it comes to understanding harmony and how to use stuff. Any other questions you guys may have? Going once, going twice. Any questions? Okay, well, thanks for joining this live, and don't forget that you could purchase my guide. You could I also have lesson videos available now for people who want to learn at your own pace. You don't necessarily want to be on a schedule, and you just want the information. I have videos for that. Like I want to help everybody out as much as I can, and yeah, the videos are great because you could watch it whenever you feel to watch it on your iPhone, Android phone, laptop, tablet, whatever. So take advantage of that. That's on my online store. The link to my online store is in the bio, but I could also hold on. Let me see if I could put it in the comment box. I don't know. I had to figure this out at the time, but yeah, the link to it is. Let's see. That's not the actual link. I think it's stand.store slash it's J Cherry Music. Yeah, stand.store forward slash it's J Cherry Music. ITS J Cherry, like my name, music. Stand.stores forward slash it's J Cherry Music is my online store, and it has all the guides that you need. By nationality, I am American, but my parents are. Um, what is my parents? Just kidding. My mom is from Saint Lucia, and my dad is from Trinidad. But I was born here in America, so. But yeah, I don't know if I could drop the comment in here. I don't want to. No, I'm not going to do that. Like that. Anyways, I'll have to figure out this later. But yeah, stand.store, SCSTAN dot store forward slash it's with an S, right? ITS J Cherry Music. That's it. Stand.store forward slash it's J Cherry Music. All the products are there. Everything that you need. Everything that you need to know about bass for the pedals is on that store, and I'm telling you, like, get this. I had a person in Nigeria that bought the video, and it's been doing him justice. He was really serious about getting better and understanding the fundamentals, and he bought the video, and he's been watching it, and he's been providing feedback to me, and he said that it's been very helpful. So I just released a video, um, or it was last week, I think. So it's just there on the market. But the Smart Basis Guide has been bought like over 50 times or more or whatever. And so far, so good feedback. and so definitely check that out. There's three guides. The Smart Bass 1.1 is the major and the minor scale system and everything you need to know about it. But as far as the arpeggios, the modes, the triad, all that stuff. And the same thing, the same format with the 1.2 guide, which is the melodic minor guide. That one is really good if you're trying to get better at playing, stuff with not the extended harmony, but the melodic minor has some flavors from that scale that is used a lot in jazz and other genres of music, and it's good to know it. Even if you're not going to use it, it's good to know it. It's better to have it than to not have it. And also the harmonic minor is another one. That's one point. The Smart Bass is 1.3 guide. The same format where I'm talking about the scale, the modes of the harmonic minor, the triads of the harmonic minor, the like everything you need to know is in that the naming convention, the notes, the intervals. So like everything is written out in the guide. There's fretboard diagrams, so that way you know exactly where to place your fingers. And also I have the notes on each for each scale, so that way you could learn the notes on the board. But there's also like fret the fret numbers, so that way if you don't know the notes, at least there's the numbers for that. But yeah, it's great information. I use the guides myself. I mean, um, I would never make a product that I wouldn't use myself. So yeah, somebody said I'm trying to learn touch it ought to be this. Okay, that's cool, but that's cool. I haven't heard that one, but I trust that it's a good song. If you say if it's groovy, yeah, I would say yeah. If you're a bass player, definitely learn stuff that you like. Learn stuff that is very groovy. Stuff that's going to challenge you a little bit. Stuff that has good feel. Stuff that has good drumming. Let me tell you about this too. Good drumming, like whether you're learning from a song or you're playing with a really good drummer, is going to be vital to your improvement on bass. Playing with a good drummer will only improve you as a player. So whether it's on a record or live drumming, yeah, like don't underestimate that. Anyways, I'm about to get off this live. Again, remember to check out the product stan.store// is J Cherry Music is where my products are at. Also, that link is in my about bio section of my YouTube. Um, or if you have trouble finding those, getting to the link or finding those links, you could also send me an email to jcherrymusic@gmail.com. I'll send you the link there. And also, I offer services like one-on-one lessons for people who are interested in that. I like to put people on a program where we're doing either like weekly lessons or bi-weekly lessons. So whatever fits your schedule and your budget is what we'll do to help you improve. Like you don't have to suffer. You could really improve. All right. Well, you guys take care. I'll see y'all the next live.